pass me a pro-life, pro-choice inquiry. He'd be recovering heavily. Okay. Okay, guys, we're on our penultimate act for the evening. This comic just moved here from Phoenix. Please get those hands going for Katie now. Let's cut right to the chase, you guys. I love nuns. God, I love nuns. And I know a lot of other people have the exact opposite reaction because they grew up Catholic and went to schools where nuns were mean. But I did not grow up in a Catholic household. I grew up in a musical theater household. So for the longest time, my only perception of nuns came from Nonsense, Sound of Music, and Sister Act. And you know, like that musical perception really got into my head to the point where I seriously considered becoming a nun. And like, I knew about all the hard things you have to do, you know, like the vow of chastity, vow of poverty, vow of obedience. It's hard. But the real deal breaker for me was, I didn't think I was a good enough dancer. Like, I move well, but I'm not a nun-level dancer. Like Hannah, I am now a non-practicing theater kid. I grew up doing it religiously. Now I'm more the Christmas and Easter crowd. The Tony Awards are today. Today's Christmas. But one of the things I still haven't been able to shake from that time in my life is my love for singing show tunes. But I do have to respect that not everyone likes to hear show tunes as much as I like to sing them. So I really try and only do it when no one can hear me. But because I live in an apartment with a roommate, that really only happens when I'm driving alone in my car. And to be clear, I'm not just singing along to the radio like, no! I am thinking about my placement and breathing from my hoo-ha. So I'll be like blasting down the freeway just going, maybe this time I'll be lucky. Maybe this time he'll stay. Use your blinker! Really fun to drive with. But I get really into it, and it absolutely has gotten me in trouble before. One time I got a speeding ticket because I got too into singing The Worst Pies in London from Sweeney Todd. And that was really hard to get out of because apparently I think I would make a good Mrs. Lovett. Doesn't hold up in court. I'm really glad you guys are not in the Andrew Lloyd Webber crowd. A friend of mine told me that I look like Santa Claus's new girlfriend. And the worst part is I can see where she's coming from. I have the green eyes, apple cheeks, and soft body of a woman that would live in the North Pole. With just enough sluttiness to be the new wife. Excuse me, new girlfriend. I'm just a Yuletide side piece. Oh, I just moved here recently from Arizona. Yeah, and I am so happy I did that, you guys. Arizona is unbearably hot and dry and dusty, and the plants and animals are like actively out to get you. But so help me God, if any of you say anything bad about it, I swear. And it's like, even like anyone out here just being like, I don't think I could ever live in Phoenix. I'm like, you watch your mouth, you yellow pig. Is it about the OK Corral or something? Tombstone, Arizona. I'm not even actually from Phoenix. It's just way easier to say that than saying I'm from a suburb of Scottsdale built in the 70s called Fountain Hills. And the Fountain Hills is named for an actual fountain. It sits in the middle of a man-made lake in the center of town, goes off every hour on the hour, and at one point it was the tallest fountain in the world. And you know, being in the desert, water is a concern. So, you know, instead of wasting water with this fountain, it is filled with reclaimed sewer water. And like, people know, you don't stand down one of the fountain unless you want an infection. But it's like the main tourist attraction, so like, drive from other towns to gather and watch poop water get shot 500 feet into the air. My hometown's big draw is a decorative bidet. I don't really have like a punchline for that joke. I just come from a literal shitwater town. But only I can call it that. That's not for you. I have been thinking a lot about my childhood recently, just like different memories from my childhood, and one that really has been sticking out in my brain is how my parents would set up an Easter egg hunt for me every year. But I don't have any siblings or any cousins my own age. So Easter egg hunt meant that they would just sit back and watch me wander around the house aimlessly for like an hour. And it would take so long because A, I didn't have any competition, but B, they wouldn't help me. I would just be like, is this the last egg? And they'd be like, I don't know. Or at least that's how I remember it. But when I finally did bring it up to my parents, they were like, oh no, we didn't just sit back, we were active parents. When you weren't looking, we took the eggs out of your basket and hid them again. Which they thought was really funny. But joke's on them, because now I'm a stand-up comedian. They won that battle, but they did not win that war. They are watching on Zoom right now. And from this angle, I can assume it just must be a double chin Nightlife. I spent a lot of the pandemic watching RuPaul's Drag Race for the very first time. Okay. And I want to be clear that I was not avoiding the show beforehand. My roommate's always been an avid watcher, but pre-pandemic, he had plenty of opportunities to go into the world and watch the show with other actual gay people. So when that first lockdown hit and he realized he was stuck with my heterosexual ass, he was like, if you're gonna call yourself an ally, you're gonna put in the work. Had to cry. And I know I'm a guest in this realm. I'm not an expert on drag. I'm not an arbiter on what drag is, but I still wanted to share the two main takeaways I got from watching the show. The first being that gender really is nothing more than a creative form of self-expression. There's no right or wrong way to do it. There's no limit to who can play with those boundaries. The second thing I learned is I have a fat fucking vagina. Again, shout out to my parents on Zoom. And I came to this conclusion about my fat fucking vagina because a lot of the queens on the show are cisgendered queer men performing as cisgendered women. Not all of them, but a number of them. And when you are a cisgendered man putting on swimwear or a leotard to appear as a cisgendered woman, there's some credits that don't transfer, some things don't translate well, there's a dig in the way. So a lot of the queens will tuck. They'll tuck all their junk back and just tape it back. But a point of pride for a lot of queens is to have a really flat tuck, make it look like there's nothing there. So an insult that gets thrown around when someone does not have a flat tuck is, you have a meaty tuck. So I'm watching these queens. And I realize I don't have a penis. But I have a meatier tuck than a lot of these queens. So now I'm wondering, do I need to start tucking? Do I need to tape myself from belly to butthole? Do I need to flatten out my vagina and plug up 3 different functions in the process? Because if that's what it means to be an ally, I will do it. You really have to give me a couple days heads up so I can schedule a wax first. I will get a full Brazilian, but only for equality. Thank you guys so much. I'm Katie Mail.